These people, they can just suck the energy out of you. We are going to be talking about how to deal with negative people in your life. First of all, I want you to realize that you just being you, you're going to trigger both a positive and negative reaction out of people, regardless of how you act. Because what is positive and what is negative is all based on perspective. There is an objective perspective on that most people agree on, which is why, we have people pleasers that act a certain way because objectively they know how to act in order to get most people to like them, but there's still going to be people that don't like them. And same thing with Hitler. So Hitler was responsible for the death of millions of people, and he had initiated World War II, which we can objectively say is negative. However, there was still millions of people that had supported him. At that time, the people that supported him thought they were doing a good thing. So it's all relative. We all have our own subjective perspectives based on our past experiences, where we are now, how we were conditioned. You might wonder, Judy, why are you even telling me all of this? Well, simply put, while it might not be your fault that people act negatively towards you, how you emotionally react, how you behave, that is still your responsibility. This is why in this video, I am going to talk about not only how to deal with negative people in your life, but also how to tell if you are the negative person in your life. My philosophy when it comes to dealing with anything in life is pretty simple. First, I'll look at what I can control within myself, and then I'll think about what I can control in my environment, as long as it doesn't harm anybody else. And then anything else, it's outside of my control, so I just accept the way it is and let it go. But I'm just a mere 20-something-year-old. Perhaps you have more life experience than me. However, I truly believe that there's something that we can learn from everybody. So in dealing with negative people in your life, the two ways that we can approach it, and you can approach it in both ways, is one, to look inwards in controlling how you see things and hence how you feel. And the second approach is the outwards approach. It involves other people, so it involves communication and things like setting boundaries. We're going to start off with the inwards approach first. Let's say you're dealing with somebody in your personal life that you see is quite negative, and it's very evident that they make other people feel uncomfortable too. Perhaps they might make backhanded compliments, snarky comments, or they might be constantly comparing you to other people and making you feel just very unhappy around them. And even when you're not around them and you're thinking about them, you just think of this person in a negative light. I know there are some advice out there that tells you to mirror that behavior back to them so that they can have a taste of their own medicine. However, I don't personally recommend that, because then you're just perpetuating the negativity, and in any given moment, you have a choice. It is your responsibility. You can either choose to be a positive example of how you want to be treated, or you can choose to be that negative example to give them the taste of their own medicine. That is your choice. And I think that in the end of the day, the choice that we make, that is everything. While there is satisfaction in getting back at someone, like being the main character of your revenge fantasy plot, it's going to affect how you see yourself. And do you want to see yourself as someone that is vengeful, manipulative? You just being yourself and being someone that is standing their ground and trying to be better every single day. I'm not saying to be toxically positive. That's going to radiate outwards to other people. It might not, make the biggest impact that you had hoped for. You might not solve like world hunger, but you can make an impact over time with the people that are around you, like your family members, your friends, people in your personal life, your coworkers. These are people that you can set a constructive example towards and show them, what your character is like and being consistent in how you act. So I think that it's incredibly important in not mirroring that negative behavior back to that person that is negative to you, and instead learn from that person who is negative to you. Because I truly believe that every situation that we have in life, and also every single person that we meet, we can learn a lot from these people, even though they are negative to us. For example, there is a certain person in my life that I have strived all my life to do the opposite of. All of that person's behaviors, I would observe them and see how they would negatively impact so many people around us. And I would just learn and do the opposite of what that person did. And this is how you can embrace negativity and turn that into something powerful to give you clarity towards what you want. In taking a negative experience and looking at it constructively, we can turn that into a positive experience. And just by shifting your mind, that is going to change how you feel about a certain situation. Like, yes, this is shitty. Like, this person is causing a lot of discomfort in my life, but there are things that I can do to manage my own emotions and control how I see things. Even though it's a shitty situation, what can I gain out of it still? I can't even begin to describe the inner peace that you'll feel and just accepting that everybody has different values. It's something that you have to experience for yourself. So much suffering comes from the fact that we have different values, and a lot of the times we don't understand why certain people are valuing certain things over another. For example, if someone values pleasure over family and friends, they might be driven to do addictive behaviors that they find pleasurable and skip out on family events with their friends. And over time, it might seem like this person really doesn't care about their family and friends at all because they prioritize pleasure in their life so much, because our behaviors are driven by what we value. It might not be your fault if someone is acting like a terrible human being towards you. They might just have a different moral value system than you entirely, different standards to that. And that's okay too. What you can control is yourself. You can take inventory of your personal values, identify them, change how you see things, and hence change how you feel. Okay, so the second approach is the outward approach. Probably one of the hardest things when dealing with negative people is deciding whether we should say something, and if so, how should we say it? So let's break it down. Should I say something? Well, you're probably not going to like my answer because I'm not going to tell you what to do. Use your own judgment for that. You're trying to solve your own personal issue. I don't have all the data. I don't have all the facts. And I don't even know if your perspective is perhaps skewed. I mean, your perspective is valid, but the other person, the negative person, also has their perspective too. So point blank, I can't say yes or no, but I will give you guys a question so that you can ration whether it actually makes sense for you to even bring up something to this negative person of yours. First question to ask yourself in determining whether you should say something to this negative person in your life is, will you regret not saying something down the line? Because we can't know for certain the result of our actions. Even if we say something, we can't guarantee that we're going to have the result that we had hoped for. However, we do know how we're going to feel. So if this is something that you're going to regret down the line if you don't say something, that is supportive of the fact that you should do something. However, that isn't the only thing that you should consider. Another thing to consider is this worth my energy? Because there's so many things that you can turn into a problem, or so many problems that you may already have in your life. You need to prioritize what is actually worth giving your energy to. So my second question is, why should I say something? If you have a solid enough reason to support this question, then most likely this isn't a petty problem, and it's one that could have significant upside if you were to say something. This question is really to suss out whether dealing with this negative person in your life is even worth your energy. Okay, so you decide that you want to talk to this negative person in your life. What do you even say? Well, for starters, why don't you ask them if you can have a conversation with them? Ask them, hey, can we talk? It's going to be a lot less confrontational, and it's going to be way more well received by the other person if you're really just trying to be constructive about this. If you're just trying to come at this from a self-righteous perspective and you just really want to prove a point and let this person know like how you felt, all the hurtful things that this person has done to you, I mean, go for it, but you might not get the most effective result. If you actually want them to be aware of all the damage that they're doing, you need to do so in an effective manner. So I'm going to tell you how I learned to do that from someone who was very non-confrontational in the past. I have learned to be a lot more assertive in how I feel, how I think, and communicating that to other people as well when it comes to like work, personal life. So yeah, first things first, ask them like, hey, can we talk? Allow it to be a two-way conversation where the other person can also provide their perspective. Maybe they weren't even aware of how you felt, or maybe they didn't know the extent of the damage that they had done. So in having that two-way conversation, you have your perspective and you can hear the other person's perspective too. And if reconciliation is what you want, then that can go a long way. And once you're connecting with that person, you can use your I statements. And I'll give you a general structure of how you can utilize this. So you can start off with saying how you feel and then tie that with that person's behavior. What is that person doing that is making you and other people unhappy? And then tie that next to what you think would be a positive behavior that you would like to see, and then add in what benefit that would be to the other person. So these 4 elements to it, and I'll summarize it over here on this side. As an example of how you would apply this structure, let's say you're working on a group assignment and you feel that one of the members are really not picking up their slack and you're really having to do a lot of the work. You might say to them like, hey, this is super uncomfortable for me to bring up, but I think it's important for the sake of our project and perhaps our friendship that I've been feeling really stressed out in this project and quite frankly burnt out. I feel that I've taken on a lot of the work. I haven't heard much on your end in regards to how the project is progressing when I ask for updates. And it's kind of stressing me out, the lack of communication on what's being done. So what would really help on my end is if you can keep me updated on what you're working on, because this is our joint grade and I just want the both of us to not only pass, but get a decent grade on it. If this is something that you urgently need their help on, don't be afraid to say so. If it is a need, it is what it is. And at that point, you've said your piece. It's up to them if they want to pick up their slack or not. If not, then that's still an experience that you can learn from. Perhaps in the future, be more selective with the partners that you select for your projects, or apply that to whatever personal problem you're working with. By the way, this is all said in assuming that the person we're dealing with is not known to be violent. If so, then seek professional help. And also, if you're dealing with someone in the workplace, that is what HR is for. Something else that is super important is to protect your energy when you're dealing with negative people. Like these people, they can just suck the energy out of you. It just leaves you feeling so drained. So what you need to do is set boundaries. And how you can do that is by communicating what you need. So let's say there's this person in your life that is always just like complaining to you about everything. And this person isn't someone that you can just cut off from your life. So what you can do the next time they come to you with one of their personal problems and you've got, your plate full of your own, is to let them know like, hey, I really care about you. And I know in the past you've always come to me for your problems and I've always welcomed you with open arms. But right now I'm dealing with a lot of stuff and I just don't have the bandwidth to do so. Or you can just tell them to stop complaining. But the point is, your energy is precious, and these people know that. That's why they're coming to you. They're seeking you for your energy. The thing is, if you keep letting them, your energy is going to be leaking from all these different places. So it's really important to set boundaries to stop that leakage. But hold up. What if we are the negative person in our lives? What if we are our greatest enemy? So there are a couple of ways that you can identify this from other people. But I also want to challenge you to embrace this sort of thinking in reflecting back on yourself to see how you can improve, because this is where you can get the most transformation, the most growth out of yourself, and being able to see yourself in that negative manner, in a more critical manner, to see, how are you harming others? How are you interacting with others? And how you can be a better person. So chances are, if other people have brought up to you something that they dislike about you over and over again, especially if multiple people have brought this up, then consider that you might be the problem here. Or maybe nobody has brought it up to your attention, but you visibly see that a lot of people are uncomfortable. They look like they're walking on eggshells around you. Maybe they're afraid to say something and you are being someone who is spreading negative vibes. Years ago, I went on a family vacation. We went to LA. We were at Disneyland and I was just getting so annoyed at the fact that my mom was taking so many pictures over and over again, to the point where I started complaining about it a lot. and nobody had brought up how I was ruining the mood, but it was very clear by their expressions, and my mom was too afraid to even ask for photos after that, which I feel terrible for now. Back then, I had valued being viewed as right over harmony. So I was being self-righteous and calling my mom out and taking so many photos and wasting everybody's time on this vacation. I valued that over harmony back then. All of this was subconscious. So in reflecting on that, I had reevaluated all of my values, and I started to see that, oh my God, like self-righteousness, being right, isn't something that I want to value. Also, it's blocking me from actually growing, because in always prioritizing being right and never being wrong, then how can I learn from my experiences if I'm always right about something? So if you really want to see yourself grow, look at yourself in areas where you are a negative person in your life, and then apply these tips that I have mentioned in both the inwards approach and outwards approach. And that's all for this video. Thank you so much for staying with me till the end. If you enjoyed this video, please drop me a like, comment, share this with others. I believe that all helps with promoting the algorithm. I'm not sure how that works. It's a unicorn to me. But anyways, hope you enjoyed it. Hope you got something out of it. In looking inwards, identifying your values, a big part of that is first identifying your emotions, because your emotions are tied to your values. So at the end of this video, I'm gonna link the video on how to master your emotions. So go check that out. But for now, I'm gonna exit my usual outro. I love you guys. Until next time, peace.